we got torn up because we said Alabama was desperate. Every Crimson Tide fan that has ever donned a crimson jersey, that has ever even thought about dating their sister or cousin, came out of the woodwork. No, I'm kidding. There's that. I mean, all the Southern jokes are all the same for all schools. So, I love Alabama fans. I love what Nick Saban has done, because it's a guy you either root for or against. So I'm kidding, Alabama fans. I love you, and I hope you subscribe to this channel and you're a part of it. I think it's cool that we've gotten way more SEC, Caleb, than we ever dreamed we would. We thought we'd be all Tennessee, so it's been really cool. So we got ripped by Bama fans, all right, last week, and we said, hey, you bring in this Notre Dame quarterback, Tyler Buchner, and is this a desperation move? Because a spring quarterback, bringing one of those guys in after spring practice, is a guy that probably didn't win the job. And Sam, what's his name? Hartman. Sam Hartman won the job when he came over from Wake. He won the job at Notre Dame. They didn't announce it, but sources tell me that he won the job, and that's the reason why Tyler Buchner won it out. We argued that it was desperate. I didn't think it was. I thought they brought another guy in who had injury issues but could play. So now we have A&M bringing in a quarterback. So I want to tell you a little bit about the newest quarterback, and this is very important because I think the Aggies fall on Tennessee's schedule. I think a lot of people think that the Aggies could just fall apart this year. So they bring in Jaylen Henderson. He announces his commitment to Texas A&M on Sunday. Today's tough question is brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Who's more desperate? Today's tough question. Bam, here we go.
Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
So they both bring in spring quarterbacks, which if you bring in a guy in the January portal, that ain't desperate. That's making your roster better. If you bring a guy in now, the backdrop is desperation. It may not really be desperate. I didn't think Alabama's was desperate. Let's talk about whether or not this is desperate. Who's more desperate in bringing in a spring quarterback? Is it Texas A&M or is it Alabama? What say you, Caleb Calhoun? I'll start, and then I'll tell you why you're right or wrong. How about that?
Okay. I think we're going to agree. And I don't think this is close. And I am one who said Alabama is desperate. Texas A&M.
And I said no. And I said
no.
Because I think he's a pretty good player. Go ahead.
But Texas A&M is way more desperate, and this is a way more desperate move. Tyler Buchner transferred after not winning the starting job at Notre Dame and losing it to Sam Hartman. It was Sam Hartman, right? The elite transfer who we felt could start in the SEC.
He was the number one, in my opinion, and the people I talked to, he was the number one quarterback in the transfer portal, in the first transfer portal, in the winter transfer portal. And I thought Tennessee should go after him, quite frankly. But they had seen enough from Nico that they felt good about him. So they didn't even really pursue Sam. So where are we now with A&M? Is this desperate?
So, and yes, it's more desperate with A&M. Jaylen Henderson transferred on April 20th, 2023 from Fresno State, meaning he lost the starting job at Fresno State and he's going to Texas A&M.
And let me add this. Or he wanted to play in the SEC and A&M gave him an opportunity. I mean, but you would think that would happen in the winter portal.
That would happen in the winter. And also, if he wanted to play, Dave, you're a 5-star quarterback right now. If you have your choice, though, you may want to play in the SEC. Do you really want to play for Texas A&M when you know Jimbo Fisher might get fired this year? Or would you feel a little safer playing at Fresno State where you can maybe still build your profile a little bit as a quarterback? I understand at Fresno State at that point.
I mean, you're They both sound horrible to me. I mean, I don't want to play football in California. There are parts about Cali I love, but it ain't the football part
Yeah,
of it.
but you can, as a quarterback, if you're trying to get to the NFL or whatever, you can become a highly talented draft pick wherever you play. I mean, we see that quarterbacks come from all over in football. It's like usually where the difference is, it's the offensive line, receiver, defensive line, things like that. What I'm saying, this past year was a bit of an anomaly with so many SEC quarterbacks taken. But what I am saying is that he was desperate. He wanted to play somewhere. Texas A&M was desperate. They needed a starter. They just threw it out. They just threw it with their hands. They're like, all right, we'll take him. Let's see if this works. This is beyond desperate by Texas A&M.
I am not. I'm not backtracking, but I actually think the Alabama one's more desperate. I think this is a guy for depth, but they've got the Connor Wigman kid, and I think that he's going to be the starter. I think Jimbo Fisher, I think this is a little gamesmanship. He didn't say that he's going to be the starter, but I think he'll be the starter. This kid that they brought in is a 3-star guy. I don't think this is desperate. I think this is depth. I actually think the Alabama one, I'm not backtracking, but I think the Alabama one is more desperate than this.
You are all over the place, Dave.
No, I'm not, man. I guess I just don't think that. I think this is for depth. I think this is bringing in a dude that he's at Fresno State, and maybe he had an aunt that lived next to Texas A&M, and he saw that he could get food there, and the facilities were way better. And he's like, I'd rather be a backup at A&M, which there's no shame in that, than a starter at Fresno State.
I don't think that at all. And I don't think he would rather be a backup at A&M than a starter at Fresno State. Look, again, quarterback is not other positions. If you're a quarterback, you want to be able to start because you can actually build your profile. Carson Wentz was a number 1 draft pick out of North Dakota State. Again, quarterback is the one position where it doesn't really matter where you play when you're trying to build your profile. It doesn't matter what conference you play in. It doesn't matter what team you play for. I think we've noticed that.
Travis says, I'm old waffle Dave. You watch it, Travis. I'll walk down to the shipping department and have your shirt canceled. It hadn't gone out yet, but it's going out today. So I'm kidding. The Alabama one to me feels desperate because I know Jalen Milroe can't play. Okay. I mean, and
I know Texas A&M as a team can't play.
Right.
I know the whole team can't play.
Oh, maybe it's desperate by the kid who transferred. I don't think it's as desperate by A&M. I think they want to add depth. This is a 3-star guy, unless he's there just are not a lot of misevaluations of quarterbacks. Have you noticed that? Usually the quarterbacks from high school to college are at least starters that are 4 or 5 stars. I mean, for the most part. I know you've had a situation with Brian Moore, and then the most recent
he was a 3-star, though,
what's that?
He was a 3-star, though. So, yeah, that was.
Okay, he's a 3-star. I mean, you've had situations where guys have gotten shuffled through recently at Tennessee, but I think that's because of an offensive change. So I don't think either is incredibly desperate. I think the Alabama one is more desperate. Go ahead and click that like button, subscribe. But first, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Let me tell you something else about the Alabama situation that I heard over the weekend. But first, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. If you want to save thousands or tens of $1,000s, go to AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Over 40 years in his office of experience in buying and selling houses in the Knoxville area. AndyMasonRealEstate.com. He is great. So go ahead and reach out to him if you have any real estate needs. I'm about to do that very thing here in the next, maybe this week. So AndyMasonRealEstate.com. So some things I heard about Alabama. I do not believe that bringing in Tyler Buchner was a depth move. Now, I haven't heard from my sources in A&M yet. When I do, I'll let you know. And I may change my mind tomorrow, to be real honest with you. But I think that the Buchner thing was, hey, can you come here and play? Let's give this a shot. I think Ty Simpson would have played in front of Jaylen Milroe, and Bryce Young got hurt last year. If Simpson was ready, he obviously wasn't. There's concern there about long-term future. And then Jaylen Milroe managed to turn the ball over 5 times in one game. That's tough to do. So that's what I heard over the weekend. I think it fortifies your point, but I just like to share what I heard. Caleb. If Ty Simpson didn't make a push, if Ty Simpson wasn't the guy that they threw in there last year, then when Jalen Milroe is turning the ball over approximately every 8 minutes, then that tells me that Ty Simpson's not even close to ready. And you bring in another quarterback. I mean, I kind of thought in the back of my head, nothing I heard, but thought in the back of my head, Ty Simpson's going to come out and win the job in the spring. And because we know Jalen Milroe can't protect the ball, he hasn't. From not only publicly, but people that I talked to. Okay. That to me means that was your next 5-star great guy, right? It was supposed to be Jalen Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, and then it was Bryce Young, and your next guy it was supposed to be Ty Simpson. It's not Ty Simpson. So I'll give you credit. Last week, you called it desperate. I'll give you a little bit of desperate on that. How about that?
Okay, I appreciate that. I also find it funny that it seems like Tennessee has a lot more success with quarterbacks from Alabama than Alabama does with quarterbacks from Tennessee.
That is weird.
Yeah. Condrich Holloway and T. Martin, both from Alabama. 2 legendary quarterbacks at Tennessee. Alabama goes and gets Ty Simpson. And it was a big blow to Tennessee fans, by the way. People forget this. Heupel was in his first year. Taven Jackson not committed to Tennessee, but they were still desperation because we didn't know how good or bad the program was going to be. It hurt Tennessee fans hard when Ty Simpson committed to Alabama. I don't think they're feeling that bad anymore.
No, they're cool. They can roll with that.
Yep.
That's good. I mean, so if you get Ty Simpson, it changes. It's so funny how these things can change the trajectory of an entire program, and really they can change the future history of what happens. If they get Ty Simpson, do they get Nico? I don't think so.
Oh, I don't think so either. And there's rumors, Tennessee played UT Martin last year. Ty Simpson's father is UT Martin's head coach. And let's just say there's not a lot of love lost between Jason Simpson and the University of Tennessee.
Interesting. Okay. Did not know that. Is that the Lane Kiffin gift that keeps on giving? Because he didn't connect with in-state coaches, and there's still some in-state coaches that are, that's the thing we haven't ever talked about Lane Kiffin. There's still some in-state coaches that are mad that they lost touch with Tennessee. And then you follow that up with Dooley, who didn't go to any high school football games during his tenure, literally did not go to one single one. And then you have Butch Jones, who tried, I guess. And then you have Jeremy Pruitt, who is a defensive coach. So I wonder if that's one, because Fulmer had that reputation as well, that he didn't recruit as much in state, but it really wasn't fair to Fulmer. Fulmer got the best player. Lane Kiffin did not recruit in state well enough. He didn't make the long-term relationships. He didn't think the in-state talent was going to be good enough long-term.